A second stimulus check. Debate heats up as rent moratoriums come due, and the PPP loan process may get extended. Hey everybody, this is LALATE with a second stimulus check and stimulus package update. Our second of today. Earlier today, we detailed a new words coming from the White House about a second stimulus check itself and how it impacts SSI, SSDI, and Social Security. We'll be answering a few more of your questions from yesterday's video about that shortly. But let's get right to this video, which really touches on two topics. First, rent moratorium, and second, PPP. As you know, a lot of you have had problems meeting your rent obligations, but your local counties or cities or states have passed rules that say that they cannot evict you before a prescribed date. That date initially was somewhere in May, and that got extended. And depending on where you live, that date could be coming up. We call this window, this time frame in which they cannot evict you, rent moratorium. The time during that same period of time, there has been a period in which landlords don't have to pay their mortgages, and that's called a mortgage moratorium. Well, there's a thing coming up, and it's very disconcerting, and it's called a financial cliff, and that is what the second stimulus package hopes to resolve. A lot of things come up in late July, and one of them in many local, state, or federal places is the expiration of your rent moratorium, meaning that if you have not made rent, your landlords can start to evict you, and may likely evict you because they've been, in some cases, waiting around to evict you into that date. The second stimulus packages that are on the table consider extending the rent moratorium to a later date. And this is a really good thing. It's a really good thing because there's too many things expiring in late July. And the thought is that a lot of U.S. citizens will become homeless or are homeless if these moratoriums are not extended. What am I talking about? Here we go. First, the second stimulus check is delayed. We all know the second stimulus check should have been in your pockets by now. It hasn't. It's not going to be there in June, and it wasn't there in June. It's not going to be there in July. At the moment, the best scenario is in August. But that's not sufficient for a landlord that is waiting for their rent from you in July, and you don't have rent. Next, landlords generally could not evict you in most cities across the country until late July. Currently, most cities' moratorium on evicting you are lifted. Those moratoriums are lifted in late July, meaning that landlords can start evicting people if they haven't made their rent. That's also a financial cliff, and I'll tell you why. Because landlords around the same time could start to see their own properties go into default, into foreclosure. Why? Because their moratorium to pay their mortgages is also being lifted. It's all very bad news. And analysts have said that allowing this financial cliff to come up and not extending a second stimulus package and the benefits of a second stimulus package could put a lot of different types of people in a lot of different situations all in big financial trouble by late July. What are we talking about? The level of displacement would be unparalleled in U.S. history and carries the potential to destabilize communities from years to come, says Urban Footprint in a new report issued moments ago. It's basically saying that entire communities could be in a horrible financial ruin if the second stimulus package is not approved because of all these deadlines that are coming up in July. If the second stimulus package does not extend those deadlines, which I think it will, but if it doesn't, You could have a lot of financial catastrophe happening that starts with evictions. The path to pre-COVID economic activity and employment levels is unpredictable at best. This leaves the fate of many renters and the communities in the balance, says the report. How bad is the situation? Well, there's 6.7 million rent-burdened households that are facing evictions as of the time of me reporting this recording today, I have learned. These are people that could face eviction once federal unemployment insurance expires, FPUC, that's $600 from the federal government, in late July. It's so bad that the level of displacement would be the worst. Level displacement is a nice way of saying homeless. The level of homelessness could be the worst in U.S. history come late July. 35.5 million people filed for jobless claims last week, and economists worry that the number is going to be higher. This channel has been detailing that Thursday is the new jobless report. As you know, jobless claims, and these are called first-time jobless claims, meaning these are new people claiming unemployment assistance, was over 1 million people last week for the 14th consecutive week. It's very severe. And so where is that money going to come? Well, on Monday, which was yesterday, Senator Elizabeth Warren introduced a new bill. So here is another second stimulus package proposal. You know, as a channel, I detail everything for you. And so this is really good news coming from Senator Warren. This is a bill that would stop all evictions nationwide until March 2021 and require landlords to give tenants a 30-day notice for any evictions after March of 2021. Isn't that great news? So Elizabeth Warren is saying, hey, this pandemic is not going away. 2, unemployment is not improving. 3, people can't meet their obligations. So what are we doing here, folks? It's July. The situation's not better. And I don't want to make anyone seem less important or more important than the next person. But all people on the food chain, whether you are, whether you're a retired person or an owner of 45 hotels, everyone is having difficulty meeting their obligations. They don't have income. They don't have revenue. They don't have money coming in. So Elizabeth Warren, in a great bill, which unfortunately I don't know the name of it, but it's a bill that was announced on Monday, proposes to stop any evictions until March 2021. Next, jobs and money in your pocket as a second stimulus package. Well, if you heard the news last night, it was sort of misconstrued in 2 different directions. You may have heard last night that the PPP program was extended. It was not extended. What happened last night, I'm going to explain to you and why this is good news for you, but we're still not out of the woodworks yet. Yesterday, the PPP program in the United States, adopted under the CARES Act back in March, which gives money to you as the employee or gives money also to your employer to give you salary, expired. It ran out. The time in which the applications were to be submitted to the SBA ended yesterday. Well, what did Senate Democrats and Senate Republicans who thought, let's get something to toot our horn about before we go on our umpteenth vacation do? They passed a bill in the Senate, repeat, the Senate, not the House, the Senate, to extend the PPP deadline. Well, what does that do? It does nothing, because it's only in the Senate. The bill has to go back to the House, which it now has, to get approval, and that has to be signed by the president. And as you know, members of Congress are going on vacation yet again later this week. So it didn't extend PPP. It basically said, hey, here's a bill to extend it, but as of today, PPP is dead. It is no longer accepting other applications. So what does that mean for you, whether you own a business, whether you work for a business, or used to work for a business? Well, businesses are running out of money. liquidity problems are clearly here. There was an interview with Adam Markowitz, who's head of a CPA, big CPA firm out of Florida, and he said that everyone that wanted PPP money got it, months ago. So no one's rushing to get PPP money now. I don't know anyone out there that's clamoring for PPP money already. Senators spoke about the hospitality and tourism industry and restaurant and bars. Yes, and I spoke about that yesterday. Let me explain that as well. A lot of you work or used to work and have been laid off in retail, hospitality, restaurants, bars, hotels, similar types of businesses. Those businesses have deep problems at the moment, and that is because they have enormous liquidity, debt problems. The Federal Reserve, head of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, testified before members of Congress yesterday and said, these industries have a lot of debt, and throwing debt on top of debt is not necessarily good. It isn't good. That's why grant money is needed. And the same article that I'm quoting from talked about that a lot of people who got PPP money are now, turning to EIDL, which is a mixture of grant and loan, because they can't keep on taking on additional loans. Moreover, some can't take on additional loans. There's problems about that as well. Yesterday, we delivered a second stimulus check video, which had over 100,000 views in 24 hours, about the second stimulus check, how it would be delivered to you if you're on SSI, SSDI, or Social Security. And you had 500 comments. I answered some of them in the first stimulus check video today. I'm going to be answering some of them shortly. But Markowitz, the accountant out of Florida, which I cited a second ago, he says he doesn't know what his clients are going to do. My clients who received the PPP money to keep people on payroll and did what they're supposed to do now have gotten screwed. So they've gotten screwed in many different regards. They opened up to use this money to put people back to work, but then were shut down. The federal government kept on changing the rules about PPP. It's predominantly to keep people off of unemployment, but that some of those people had to be refurloughed because the businesses just didn't have draw. There's a lot of restaurants that reopen. They're just not having people come in, or hotels are just not reopen in full capacity. We've been detailing the capacity numbers. They're at 30%, 40% generally. New York, for example, has blocked tourism into its state from 5, 6, 10, 12 other states. So these are very big concerns. But here are some of your questions from yesterday's second stimulus check on SSDI and SSI. Some of more of them, because there was a lot, 524. Sir Charles Bergamy, what about child support? I took my first check and I'm a grandfather. If they take the second one, I don't know what to do. It's still on the table. What I did in today's video, please watch the earlier video today, I talked about banks taking your second stimulus check if you have outstanding fees and things like that on that account. And I said, hey, get another account. So stay with me, Sir Charles, because it's all going to be very fluid. And I'm going to tell you the manner in which you need to ensure that you get the second stimulus check and ensure that you get all of it if you qualify. Deborah, so let me ask you, if I'm trying to keep up with your information, when can we expect the next series or even a single second stimulus check? It would be approved by August 8th, and I think it's going to be approved on August 8th. Why? Because senators are generally lazy people, and they wait to the last second. The last second is August 8th. August 8th is the last day that they're in session. They come back in late July, and then they go on another vacation on August 9th. So August 8th is the last day. When would it get routed? Well, the first video today had a direct quote from the president. He says he wants it to land in your account, land to you quickly and less complicated than the first stimulus check. The first stimulus check's delivery was at least 30 days out, and it was, or 60 days out. It was a hot mess. So, we could see it late August, the earliest, or we could see it early September. June, they need to take care of us now and stop taking their vacations. Thank you for the update on SSDI and SSI. You're the only one giving good info for the American people with disabilities and veterans. R.J. Chavez. Well, thank you. Beef Stew. Why is no one else reporting all this? They are, but it's being buried into, you know, less sexy stuff. They want to talk about Tesla stock and, you know, Apple stores closing. Well, there's more in this world besides Apple stores closing and Tesla stock going up. I mean, come on already. Understand who your viewers are. Understand who the American people are. Less 706. So the $600 from FPUC will definitely end at the end of July. Since the Senate is going to look to do anything till August. Yes. Well, no. Let me backtrack. It's $600 from FPUC, which I'll cover in another video today, does expire in late July. Things can be fast-tracked between House and Senate, so they can get extension done really, really quickly, but it's very, very tight. I mean, it's very, very tight. We need $2,000 for 6 months, says Reziv. I agree. Linda, glad that the second stimulus check hope is still there. Laverne, the money should come from the federal bank. Where's that bank? Very well said. The Federal Reserve has the money and should be giving you the money, and I'll be detailing that in our, I think it's our 4th stimulus check video today. June Richardson, so the ones on SSI and SSDIs are going to get a second stimulus check? Yes, absolutely, under the HEROES Act. Now, the Republicans, I don't know what they're going to try to fight for, but the Democratic plan absolutely pays you. Julia, I lost my job because of the pandemic. I have my kids to take care of. All I have is a job. All I need is a job to start again. I'd love to work. Very well said. I mean, Americans want to work. This contention by Mitch McConnell that people don't want to work is horrible. It's so untrue. Jan Hicks, they need to get on the ball. Very well said. Randy Tomer, where's my money? Grover, I've watched a lot of stimulus videos the last month. This is the most informative video I've ever seen. Great job. Killer info. Thank you. Well, thank you, Grover. Joseph, you know, there's so much to cover, and I never know how to get it all in, and I don't want to record a 45-minute video. No one wants to hear me for 45 minutes. So I have to separate them out. So, you know, please watch all the videos. Patrick, we need the money now. It's July. I'm broke. Thank you. Richie, so you're saying expect this check just in time for the November election? Well, that's a big surprise. No, I'm saying if they do that, kick them to the damn curb. You are not a rabbit, and the stimulus check is not your carrot. So please don't dangle that over to us, our mouths, and wait for us to give you a vote. I mean, please, really. Colin Kennedy, when will the people on SSI get their second stimulus check? James Barron, if you was carried as a dependent on someone else's taxes, will you get a check? Yes. That's a great question. That was a person that was excluded under the CARES Act. They want to give you that money. It's a great question, whether you're an adult dependent or a younger dependent. A lot of kids in college, for example, would have gotten a stimulus check if they filed their own tax return, but didn't get a stimulus check if they were on their parents' return as a dependent, even at the age, I think it was like 19. It was a crazy thing that they missed, and they should have caught it ahead of time. Demetrius, so $1,200 again and more. It's still all up in the air. If you have questions about today's second stimulus check or stimulus package and all the workings of what's going on the table, hit us back with questions below, and we may try to answer them in tomorrow's recording. As always, stay with LA for more.